It was the year 1982. The wind whispered across the ocean. The waves crashed with their endless rhythm. And on the horizon, the sun disappeared into the deep blue. For Steven Callahan, this was not just a view. It was his life. Steven was an American sailor, an inventor, a dreamer, a man in love with the sea. He had dedicated his life to understanding the ocean and chasing the freedom hidden within its mysteries. But that year, he set out on a journey that would change his life forever. He decided to cross the Atlantic alone in a boat he had designed with his own hands, a small vessel he proudly named Napoleon Solo, only 21 feet long, barely big enough for one man to stretch out. But Steven believed if any boat could carry him through this dangerous voyage, it would be this one. He set sail from the Canary Islands. The sea was calm, the winds gentle, and Steven's heart was full of excitement. His destination, Antigua. Thousands of miles of open ocean. No crew, no backup, just one man and the endless sea. The first days were beautiful. At night, he navigated beneath a sky full of stars. During the day, he let the wind carry him across the waves. He ate sparingly from his small supply of food. He sipped carefully from his stores of water. He felt alive, truly alive. But the ocean has a way of reminding us who's in control. It shows its power when you least expect it. One night, the wind rose. The sea grew restless. Steven rested inside his tiny boat when suddenly, a violent crash. A shudder tore through the vessel. He felt it strike something massive. Water began pouring in. Some say it was a whale, others a mysterious floating object. The truth remains unknown, but Steven knew his boat was dying. With shaking hands, he dragged out his emergency raft, an inflatable Avon raft, only 6 feet long, a fragile shell between life and death. He scrambled to save what he could: a spear gun, a little food, a sleeping bag, navigation charts, solar stills, and a handful of tools. But the storm raged. There was no time. Slowly, Napoleon Solo slipped beneath the waves, and Steven Callahan was left alone, adrift in the vast, merciless Atlantic. From that night forward, his true battle began. At first, he believed rescue would come. A passing ship, a plane overhead. Surely, someone would see him. He treated the raft as a temporary shelter. He rationed carefully. He held on to hope. But days passed, and no rescue came. Hope began to fade, and the reality struck him. This fight would last far longer than he ever imagined. The first enemy was water. The ocean was poison. One sip could kill. Steven had solar stills, devices that use the sun to turn seawater into drinkable drops. But they were slow. Some days, a single cup. Other days, nothing. When rain fell, he stretched his canopy wide. Every drop that fell from the heavens felt like a gift of life. Food soon became the next struggle. His rations ran out. The sea became his only supplier. With his spear gun, he hunted fish. Sometimes, flying fish landed right on the raft, and he devoured them raw. Once in a while, a seabird would land, and Steven, desperate, would trap it for meat and blood. Even the barnacles growing under the raft became his food. Bitter, strange, but in the middle of nowhere, even barnacles meant survival. But food and water were not his only battles. The raft itself was falling apart. Every day, tiny leaks appeared. He patched them over and over with shaking hands. One time, a hole tore through the bottom. For 10 endless days, Steven worked to repair it, bailing water, patching holes, praying that the fragile rubber would hold. If the raft failed, he would sink, and the ocean would claim him. And then, there were the sharks. At night, their shadows circled below. Sometimes they rammed the raft, testing it. Steven stayed still, holding his breath, knowing one tear could mean the end. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. His body withered, his weight fell. Sores spread across his sunburned skin. But the greatest war was in his mind. Alone, no voice, no human touch, just silence. The loneliness tore at him. He began to hallucinate. Strange lights in the sky, mysterious sounds from the deep. Were they illusions or something more? Steven himself believed the ocean was revealing secrets no man could understand. Through it all, he clung to his logbook. Every note, every sketch, every calculation, it gave him purpose. It gave his mind a reason to keep fighting. 76 days, 76 nights, each one a battle against death. 9 ships passed, 9 chances for rescue. Each time, he fired flares. Each time, he screamed into the void. And each time, no one saw him. But still, he held on. Finally, on the 76th day, Steven noticed birds overhead. Birds meant land, or fishermen. And then, salvation appeared. A small fishing boat near Marie Galante Island spotted him. The fishermen pulled him aboard. By then, Steven was frail. His weight reduced by 1/3. His skin broken, scarred, and burned. But he was alive. In the hospital, he slowly recovered. Later, he told his story. Adrift, 76 days lost at sea. A book that would inspire millions. And to this day, his ordeal remains one of the greatest survival stories ever told. Steven Callahan went on to become a survival expert, a designer of rafts, and a man who carried with him the most powerful lesson the sea had given him. As long as you can breathe, there is hope. But Steven's story is not only survival, it is also mystery. The lights he saw, the eerie sensations he felt, the strange marks left on his raft. Were they hallucinations? Or did the ocean show him something more? One truth remains. Steven Callahan stared death in the face, in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and he came back alive.